Hey guys, and welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to break two issues I have that I think aren't getting covered by other content creators, and that's reasonable. I don't think they have their finger as close to the pulse as I do in regards to the really in trenches feeling of playing this patch. Specifically when it comes to the impacts of the economy and combat on a deep level. In this video, I'm going to rant about the state of balance when it comes to Master Mode and the release of the new Hornet Mark II, which is just absolutely overpowered and ridiculous. I'll break that down. And the frustrations with the economy. I feel really let down about how the exploit has been public for so long and allowed to be run rampant with no real attention given to the necessity of fixing it as soon as possible, because we've got already another compromised patch. So I will get into that in quite detail. I hope you guys enjoy. Let me know what you think in the comments. I very much want to know what you think, and let's get into it. Yeah. I just want to add, before we really get into things, that because this video is negative in nature, I'm not going to read it from the script or anything. I'm just doing this on a whim, and just getting it out there. So it's not going to be overly edited or anything along those lines. And for me to break this down, I need to introduce you guys to the Hornet Mark II. Right now, in case you're unaware, for some reason, you've been living under a rock or maybe taking a break from the game, CIG's recent ship that they're trying to sell or have been selling is the Hornet Mark II, which is an upgraded version of the Hornet. It has awesome firepower. It is extremely strong. And it just received the upgrade component, which everybody got from the quest line. So again, there was an overdrive quest line, which involved a release of a new mission every week for the last 6 weeks, and everyone finished those missions and got the new upgraded Hornets. So what that upgraded Hornet does for the Mark II, so just keep in mind the Mark II itself is an upgraded Hornet, and then you can get an upgrade on top of that. And that gives you the ability to have 2 size 4s on the wings when it comes to hard points. So that's a Talon right there. Okay, that's a Cartwall. That's a light fighter amount of damage, right? Now, if you have the upgrade kit and you've applied it, the roof mount of the Hornet Mark II, so again, it's got the 2 4s in the wings. On the roof, it's got 2 size 3s. So that's a Saber Raven, that's a Saber Firebird, that's another ship in itself. And then on the nose of the turret, it's 2 size 3s. So that's another Saber Raven, that's another Saber Firebird, for example. Yeah, so this thing has 2 size 3s on the roof, 2 size 3s on the nose, 2 size 4s on the wings. This is a Hurricane, so to speak, right? So if you've got the Anvil Hurricane, which you and your friend fly, you're gonna have a hard time, and you're gonna lose to the Hornet Mark II, a single-seater fighter. It's too much power, right? Now, let's also talk about the other issue with this ship. Is it's quite tanky, given it's a part of the medium fighter archetype class. So it's got quite a lot of resistance, armor, all right? And I know it's not the physicalized armor, but it's got a lot of hull HP, so armor. And it has bugged strafes for agility. So it has a lot, right? Now the problem is, and I'll break this down before I do the bugged strafes. Every ship is balanced into the Trinity, so to speak. You know, very common in video games, which is defense versus offense versus movement. So, you know, when defense, you're talking about the hull of a ship, the shape physically of a ship, how big a target is it, the hull points, armor in the future, and the shield and shield count, shield size, tied into the capacitor. And then for movement, you've got, you know, thrusters, agility, acceleration, top speeds, and, you know, turn rate, stuff like that. And then for weapons, it's missile count, missile size, weapons, hardpoint size, capacitor, stuff like that. Now, the bug for the Hornet Mark II is that it has double, almost triple the agility of some other of these combat ships. This was an accident. They've said this pretty casually, that there's a fix coming for it, but my issue is the lack of hotfix. We are in the free fly aspect of the game. everybody is spending a incredible amount of money on buying these ships under the illusion that they're going to perform like they do now. Meanwhile, they have twice, almost 3 times the agility of even agility-based ships, while also having the most single-seat damage of a fighter that it has ever existed in the game. They're also difficult to shoot at because they're not exactly huge in comparison to the other usefulness they have, and they're tough to kill. Yeah, tough to hit, tough to chase, tough to kill. They'll chase you and they'll kill you quickly. So they have everything. Now, even if you take away and fix the strafes, they're still incredibly overpowered. Because weapons is what this flight model is about right now. It's more about weaponry and gunnery than it is flight, which is a shortcoming of the flight model and something they look to address. I'm excited about them addressing that. But it's heavily weapons based. So when you introduce a ship and that is the most weapon based in the most weapon based model that they've released, then it's incredibly overpowered. Then if you triple their agility, you've got a real problem on your hands. And that's what we're all experiencing. If you go into Arena Commander and you fly a Gladius, for example, you're going to get killed in 2 to 3 hits, yeah, which is, 2 to 3 seconds worth of damage. You don't stand a chance. But if you are in a light fighter, for example, and trying to go the agility route by out-positioning a target or out-turning, out-rating, getting behind, and getting angles, you're going to go through a 30-second Dark Souls boss fight, but the other Hornet or your target just need you to be in front of their crosshair for 2 seconds, yeah? And you can't maintain out positioning someone for anywhere close to 30 seconds, and so you're dead. But most importantly too, it takes 30 seconds of effort to outmaneuver and outposition and then finally land the kill on a target like the Hornet Mark II. And it's going to take 2 seconds to kill you. And most importantly, in a squad environment or an environment with multiple targets, you're the easiest target ever to hit because your agility and your outpositioning is only relative to the target you're trying to get away from, as in away from the nose and around them. But the second Hornet that's looking at you is going to kill you in 2 seconds. So while you're going through all these lengths to finally outplay a target that's extremely difficult to outplay, the second Hornet that's flying wing is going to kill you with extreme ease. Yeah. And that's the problem, right? Is that these weapon-based ships compound and that they are a force multiplier unlike anything in the past. And the phalanx strategy works really great. So we have an issue whether this bug gets fixed or not, but I need to reiterate, this bug has made PvP completely unplayable, completely unenjoyable, and is extremely frustrating and breaks everything. If you haven't bought this new Hornet and done your quest line to get the upgrade, you don't stand a chance against any of these guys in them. Every lobby is filled with about 80% of these Hornets, and when you shoot at them, they're going to wiggle left to right, like you might have seen in the video, and some people will push it to limits further than others, and it's a real issue. Yeah, it needs to get fixed. It's ruined the integrity. There's no balance. A lot of these ships are completely redundant because they are food for this thing, and it needs to get fixed. This justified a hot patch, yeah, and that is the core of my issue here. Is when you have issues that compromise the playing experience as much as this new Hornet does, with its bug strafes alone, let alone the gross imbalance of it in the other categories that we're going to come to terms with over the next couple months, this justifies a hotfix. But instead, because we're saving resources or time or something, we're going to wait for this fix to get paired in the .2 patch where we're developing instance hangers using some server meshing tech and all kinds of inventory systems and stuff to make that work. We have to wait that long to get a fix that completely ruins and compromises master modes and PvP. So it's frustrating, extremely frustrating. I also want to mention too, I've got a Spectrum thread that I'll put in the description of this video. Maybe I'll put in the comment section too, where I talk about this. But I want to cover that this also is an issue for the economy. We have duping in the game. Now, I watched SCL, I'm sure you guys did. I redid a react to it, where I was very excited about them taking the economy seriously.
Will there be a wipe in 323?
Yes, so we're going to look to wipe Alpha UEC and rentals, I believe. And that's purely because if we don't, all of the analytics that we get back from people playing the game are going to be basically false reports, because people are going to be using all of their banked cash, and it'll just be like, oh, people are just buying all of these now more expensive items, for example. And that then tells us like, oh, do we need to make these more expensive? No, not really. It's just that people are using giant cash reserves that they've been keeping for a long time. So we also looked at bouncing salvage out, because I think that had not had a thorough pass before. And we kind of saw people just getting millions upon millions of UEC through salvaging. So we felt that that was basically flooding our economy with Alpha UEC. So that was causing problems with people. You know, the value of things just go down so much and it becomes meaningless when you can kind of exploit a system like that. So we've applied some more logic to that.
And that they did a wipe so that they could gather data on the economy and how that shapes the game and how people are playing it. Now, when you're playing in an open world sandbox MMO, you're dependent on how the rest of the community plays it. For example, piracy, bounty hunting, org versus org content, hotspots, stuff like this. And the economy has completely ruined it, compromised it, and made this wipe redundant in the first 3 days. I don't know why trading commodities, cargo hauling or anything wasn't turned off when that exploit was publicized and everybody started to do it. And by the time that this gets fixed and this .2 patch that's tied to hanger tech and stuff like this, this economy will be saturated with trillions and trillions of UEC, and we're back to needing another wipe. Now, we waited a year or two for this wipe to happen, to spring some life to player activity and interaction, and it's already been ruined 3 days in. So how much longer do we need to wait to repeat this process to gather this data again? Or are they even gathering data? And the reason this frustrates me the most is because, and I know I'm a Tarkov simp, but Tarkov plans to release with an economy that they are not going to wipe in the future. They will not keep wiping the Tarkov economy, but they wipe it every 3 months. And they study it, they gather data on it, they balance it, they make changes to it, because as the economy unfolds and when this game goes to live, it will change shape over the first few weeks, progressing into the first month, into the first couple months, to a year down the line. As this economy evolves and changes and takes shape, so too does player activity and how we all interact. The economy is the lifeblood of the game, and it's going to justify how everything pans out in the future. And it's something that needs to be iterated on, studied and balanced and changed and corrected. But people in my comment section, but most importantly outside of my comment section, because I like to think you guys are based, they say that, oh, economy is not ready until live. I could not disagree more than I do. I can't stand that take. I think it's in real poor taste. And I think the economy is one of the most important aspects of this game. Why? Because the economy is completely compromised and foreshadowed by the fact that you can buy ships for money. You can buy armor sets for US dollars. You can buy weapons in game for US dollars, ships, land plots, you know, so many things. It's a storefront game. And because of that, it needs to also, fill the gap and not be described as just a storefront by having a legitimate economy to which this storefront can fit within. And that's fine for me, right? But I think that is a responsibility that CIG have and that this game has to develop to justify selling these ships. Otherwise, are we just playing with NFTs or what's the go? So, I believed what they said when they said they were gathering data, but the data is already compromised. There was no halting of gathering data. There was no halt in the economy. There's no pause while the bug happened. And there seems to be no effort or rush to fix something, a exploit that is completely compromised and ruined things already. So how much longer are we going to have to wait for another economy wipe so that we can start feeling what player activity is actually going to look like and spring some life back into the game now that after the wipe 3 days in, it's already become a problem. Now, what does the future look like when we are selling increasingly better ships that are more powerful than the last? Right, I think that the Anvil F8 and the Mark II Hornet, the problem is that the best looking fighters and they are the coolest looking ships. I'm huge fans of both, okay? I love the Anvil F8. It's probably my favorite looking ship. But the problem was, so many years ago, the Anvil F8 was advertised as having all these weapon hardpoints. Same as this Hornet Mark II. Same with the military upgrades that exist on both these ships that we haven't got our hands on. Now, if we are to keep following the balanced trinity of if you have weapons, then you can't have hull and maneuverability. And if you have maneuverability, then you can't have as much weapons and armor. And if you have too much armor, you can't have weapons and maneuverability, right? So if we're to follow this, the holy trinity of balance here, the problem is that two of the best looking ships are destined to fly like Drake caterpillars. The best looking brand new Premier fighters will fly like ice cream trucks. I don't think anyone is married to the damage that comes out of these ships, but instead their aesthetics and their performance. And they perform really bad, but they left click really well. I don't like the idea of pigeonholing these great ships based off old marketing details that none of us or majority of us were not in love with in the past, and pigeonholing them into some horrible balance which makes them pretty boring to fly. Yeah. So if you ask me, the solution to these alpha classes is that we give them more agility, we make them more fun to fly, and we take away their weapons. Yeah. Like slow down the weapon strength and make the most important aspect of the game, making these ship archetypes fun. Yeah. Because that's the problem, is that the brand new ships were advertised as having too much damage and paid the price of being fun to fly with. So there you go. That's my rant. It comes from a place of passion. You guys know this, okay? If I come across frustrated or negative, it's because I am a huge fan and simp of this game. And I want it to be better. And I'm passionate about it, okay? It's all passion. Alrighty, boys, make sure you check out the Shadow Moses boys have dropped some montages this week. They're really great. We'll definitely pump out more content when CIG fix this Hornet. Look forward to more combat content. I've got some big plans coming. Give me a 1, 2, 3 in the chat. Let me know what you guys think of both these topics. Voice your opinion and spectrum on that thread, whether you agree with me or not. I appreciate you all. Chris bless, and I'll catch you guys next time. GG's.